Hey, this is Scott Sumter with Bike Iowa. It's August 21st. It's our 14th episode of the Friday Fives. This is where every Friday I give you a rundown on what's on my radar for the Iowa cycling scene. So for week 14, number one is bike packing during the DERECHO. So I leave for 10 days on a bike packing trip. First trip I've had since the pandemic started, clear back in March, and look what happens. The DERECHO goes through in our home state. If you're not familiar with the derecho, I'm assuming most of you are watching this, but it's pretty much like an inland hurricane. The rains and the winds of a hurricane, so 70 to 80 mile an hour winds were recorded in central Iowa, and up to 112 mile an hour winds were recorded over in Cedar Rapids area. Um, they looks like they got hit the hardest, but about 2/3 of the state was hit with this storm that lasted anywhere between an hour and 2 hours, kind of depending where it was. Flattened crops, blew houses apart, blew grain bins down. So pretty major storm. So here I am out in Montana, no cell phone service, and I had called in to tell Jess about my trip, about how the exciting stuff that I was encountering. And then on the flip side, I didn't expect that her stories were going to be way more interesting than my stories. So anyway, this was 2 days after the derecho happened when I found out about it. But thanks for Jess for holding down the fort of the Bike Iowa HQ, and we're still reading about and thinking about everybody across the state who did get hit by the storm. But yeah, I wouldn't expect anything different from a 2020. The year of 2020, another epic moment. If you're curious about the bikepacking route that we rode segment one of the Wild West Bikepacking Route. It's part of a 2,700-mile route that goes from Canada to Mexico. This is real similar to the Tour Divide route. The route description for the Wild West Bikepacking Route says, for riders familiar with the iconic Great Divide mountain bike route, the Wild West route provides a more rugged and remote experience. This is a pretty new route. Tour Divide's been around for a while. The route's getting pretty rode in. The businesses are familiar with the riders coming through. We didn't see that so much with this route. Not very rode in. Businesses had no idea what we were doing. I'm not sure how long the route's been open or mapped, but it is relatively new. I'd say within the last year, if not maybe a year, 6 months. So 70% of the route is on public lands. It goes through 18 national forests, 6 national parks and monuments, 2 tribal parks, and 4 areas consisting of BLM land. So 8 of us rode from Eureka to Missoula, Montana. The whole trip took place in Montana except for one day where we were in Idaho as we crossed Porcupine Ridge. Most of our experience was the incredibly remote mountains of western Montana and central Idaho. Total trip, we spent 6 days on the bike and 5 nights. We got our water from streams. We hung all our food in bags between trees at night for the bears. We carried between 2 to 3 days worth of food. Water was pretty abundant. There was streams all over the place. Ice cold water, pretty clear. I mean, we did filter it. There were stops in small towns every couple days. Whether that be a bar or a convenience store, we were able to refuel fairly easily. But most of it was really the Wild West, and it was really cool after being cooped up at home so long with the pandemic. Scenery was spectacular. There were climbs, several climbs that were like 20 miles at a time. The descents were fast and gnarly. A lot of rock, a lot of sand, a lot of ruts. Um, yeah, they were fast. We had one 90-mile day, which was pushing it for all our limits, and another day with over 6,000 feet of climb. It wasn't easy, but it was a great challenge, and like I say, the scenery made up for the physical activity we were putting out. The whole route we did was 340 miles and about 25,000 feet of climb. So for comparison, if you climb Mount Everest, that's 29,000 feet of climb. So we were climbing quite a bit. If you ride the whole 2,700-mile route, you'll climb over 195,000 feet, which is similar to the Tour Divide's 200,000 feet of elevation gain over 2,100 miles. So about 600. The Wild West route is about 600 miles longer. Our highest point on our segment was 6,300. feet, and the highest point on the entire route is 10,900. So thin air wasn't a problem for us flatlanders. Wildlife, we saw a moose, actually a pretty close moose in the ditch in some trees. We startled him. Luckily, he ran the other way. Looked like an adolescent male, not any big antlers. Lots of deer, lots of antelope, tons of chipmunks. We camped at a summit on the last night, complete with fresh bear tracks, fresh bear scat, and some freshly overturned logs. So that was about the only place to camp where we were at. So we were all on the lookout that night, and luckily nothing happened, and our food remained in the air all night. During the drive out and back, we wore masks, and we wore masks at every place we stopped and practiced social distancing where we could. Um, the route was developed by Bikepacking Routes. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting the growing bikepacking community. More information on this route is at bikepacking.com/routes/wild-west-route. Number 2, Tour DERECHO. So our friends at Fenders Brewing in Polk City are raising money for the DERECHO relief efforts in central Iowa. Fenders sustained minimal damage during the storm, but many families and businesses were not as lucky. Fenders decided they wanted to step up and help those less fortunate. They're planning a virtual ride on Sunday, August 30th, and want folks to share their rides online for a good cause. So to get involved, you need to register, which basically means making a donation to the DERECHO relief efforts. And on Sunday, August 30th, you'll record any ride, can be any length, any distance, any place you want. Just share the ride via social media and tag Fenders Brewing and Tour DERECHO. If you donate $25 or more, you get a free Tour DERECHO t-shirt. You look on Bike Iowa, they got a pretty cool logo for this. I think it's going to be a pretty neat t-shirt. So 100% of the donations collected will be given to the local Red Cross efforts to support people affected by the storm. More details on Bike Iowa. It's listed out there as a feature and an event. Number 3. So charges pressed for fallen cyclists. We really try to be diligent when we post all the news surrounded when cyclists are killed or injured on Iowa's roadways, but we find it difficult to keep up with the charges and court proceedings after the crashes. So we did a little bit of research. We looked up what's happening with about 4 killings that happened in the last couple of months. And we know most drivers do not get charged, and if they do, the charges are minimal. So, and we also realize that sometimes motorists are not at fault during some of these crashes. Here are a few updates as of today, August 21st. July 21st, Joseph Johnson killed Rick Collum in Fort Dodge. No new charges listed in Webster County. Johnson has been a defendant in Webster County 11 times outside of this crash. July 23rd, Kevin Nobis killed a 16-year-old boy in Waterloo. Kevin did cooperate with authorities, and no new charges have been posted in Blackhawk County. July 31st, Tiffany Turner killed Stephen McDonald in Knoxville. A search warrant was served on her August 12th, and no additional charges have been posted in Marion County. August 2nd, Kobe Elliott killed Ellen Bankston in Charles City. No new charges have been posted in Floyd County. Elliott has also been a defendant in Iowa courts 12 times with a number of different traffic charges. His most recent charge was speeding in July of 2019. Crash date, August 9th. Cameron Stillwell killed Nicole Kulizeski in Waterloo. Cameron did pull over and call 911 at the time, and no charges have been posted in Blackhawk County. We'll keep our eyes peeled for updates and post them when they occur, but wanted to let you know we're kind of keeping an eye on these statuses since there's so many in such a short amount of time. Number 4, open the gate. We've listed several news items about the city of Riverdale and the closure of a trail connection. We talked about these in episodes 1 and episode 4 of our Friday Fives. So long story short, this is a residential connection between the Mississippi River Trail and the Duck Creek Trail, which allows trail users to access both trails without crossing high traffic and unsafe roads. The neighborhood and Riverdale's mayor and city council have blocked this trail connection with new chain link fence. There's a lock on it and everything, forcing trail users to ride on a road that's also used by truck traffic to a nearby business. And then in order to get across the road, you've got to cross a state highway. Uh, there is a traffic signal on the state highway, and then you have to ride some sidewalk to get back onto the trail. So all this, and there's already a trail underpass that goes under the state highway and a trailhead in the very neighborhood that wants the trail connection permanently closed. Uh, they made this decision in, I believe, late July, and then on August 18th, there was another city council meeting where they were supposed to go over two proposed resolutions, but they were never brought up and never decided upon, that would allow safe passage for trail users between these two trails. So during the meeting, the word convenience was used by the city council members. It's not really about convenience, it's about safety. The decision to close this connection reverses a previous city council decision to construct this connector over 5 years ago. So kudos to Quad City Bicycle Club and Corn Belt Running Club for joining forces to find a way to reopen this trail connector. They hired an attorney to determine if there are any legal options they could take, and they're raising funds for legal related fees. This morning we donated to this cause, and if you feel the need, you can too. Look for the most current feature on Bike Iowa. It's out there, and it says open the gate. We'll keep close tabs on this because we think this could set precedents for unfair trail closures. Number 5, Crush Rock Classic, powered by Ridley. So Ames Velo is hosting their Crush Rock Classic this Saturday. The Crush Rock Classic is one of our favorites. It's a multi-surface bike race held on a new 22-mile circuit in Ames. It has a little bit of everything. Its sections include crush rock, pavement, and a section of prairie trail. The terrain is undulating with several short, steep climbs per lap. So this year with the COVID, there's some changes. This is a time trial start format, so 30-second intervals, so there won't be a mass start. Pre-registration only. So if you haven't got in it yet, sorry, the registration closed yesterday at 5 p.m. They'll have longer laps, 22-mile laps, which keeps the distance between folks, and they'll start and finish directly in front of Sunny Heights Farm. The Ridley Race Campus at Sunny Heights features picturesque views and is the perfect place to hang out and enjoy the afternoon. Amesville asks that anybody out there, they want to practice social distancing and wearing masks when not competing. Go out there to the Bike Iowa calendar and look for the Crush Rock Classic. So that's it for this week. You can find more information about all the stuff we discussed on Bike Iowa. Take a look at the event calendar. We'll do this every Friday this summer. We'll probably continue into the fall as well. If you have something you want us to share, email me at biker@bikeiowa.com or ping us on Facebook. Ride safe and stay healthy.